Welcome to Cricketology, another series defeat for Sri Lanka, this time against the world champions down under in their home conditions. It was expected. That's exactly what we said. We did say it might be a 3-2, ended up being a 4-1, but I'm sure you all and we all agree that it was a very closely fought contest. We did give the champions something to think about, and as a side we're gradually improving, and if not for a couple of umpiring blunders and some luck going our way, it could have easily been a 3-2 and we would have come back a very happy bunch. Anyway, let's look at what happened in the series, some positives to take out of it as we go to India for another T20 series. To talk about all of that is with me a former under-19 Sri Lankan cricketer, Haroon Mowjood, who's been having a chat with us regularly in the past, and we have him back again after a while. How are you doing?
Fine, thank you, Samir. How are you?
Good, very good.
Really great to be back on another show of yours.
Watching all the cricket, there's so much cricket going on, and sometimes it's hard to keep up what's going on, but at least Sri Lankan cricket has always been our main focus, hasn't it? 4-1, what do you take away from this tournament? I think it was a good, closely fought contest, wasn't it?
Overall, Samir, it's been a very impressive performance by a young side, a very young side, most of them who are touring Australia for the first time. If you look at the key facets of the game, I would say bowling and fielding were top notch. I would give them 100 out of 100, but batting, as always it has been in the past, has been the worrying concern. But looking at it from a team point of view, I thought we showed a lot of promise. There were games where we could have given the Australians a good run and really turn the tables. But like you said, 3-2 would have been the best possibility in terms of the overall outcome. But nevertheless, for a side that went to Australia for the first time, where a majority of them went to Australia for the first time, I would take 4-1 in terms of how we played the game.
I mean, remember the last time we went to Australia for a T20 series, we were absolutely thrashed. I mean, I remember, if at all, every game they were, whacking 220 runs against us and bundling us all out for under 100 or 120. So definitely a much improved performance. And like Haroon says, first time for a lot of these youngsters, especially guys like Pratham Nissanka, have learnt a lot. And all of this experience will be very useful as we go into that World Cup in October, which is going to be an exciting time. Because we've learned many lessons on this tour, and right now we're going to India for another series. You mentioned that bowling has been our strength, which has been over the last, I think, 6 to 8 months. It's been like that. We've relied heavily on guys like Chamira and Hasaranga, who've been world class for us. But it's also good to see, Haroon, that there are other guys also now chipping in. It's not just reliance on two main guys. We have Binura Fernando, who put in a super shift. Then you have Nuwan Tushar, who's been very impressive. Chamika Karnaratne with his variations. He's really learnt the proper art of bowling in T20 cricket with those slow balls and those bouncers and bowling the right areas to the right batsmen. So having a lot of these options is really useful, and I think Lasith Malinga must be credited for that.
Absolutely. I think a lot of credit should go to Malinga and Vas, I think, who have really nurtured this young pool of bowlers. I want to mention the fact that Sri Lanka in the past has been a team that has relied heavily on spinners, but that paradigm is completely changed now. We have this excellent battery of fast bowlers like the names that you just mentioned. The way the performance they put up, day in, day out, it's not just flash in the pan performances. It's very consistent. Dushmantha Chamira has been the star and the player who's been leading that bowling attack. Chamika, Binura, Nuwan, you name it, all these guys come and contribute, and I have a very strong feeling, and I know for a fact that having these two local legends has really played a part, because communication becomes easy, they think alike, and all those facets kind of play into really understand and strategize accordingly. So that's why we see the bowling improving. I would like to see the batting element also have that same support. Currently we don't have local legends within that setup that can really tell these guys what to do in what situations, because you will have foreign coaches who have played in their conditions, who think that particular style is the most suited option to play. So that is where I feel there's always a mismatch. And if that element can come in, if you can get some of the legends like Mahela or Sangha, or even guys like Marwan, Thilan to really work with.
Jihan Mubarak has been a fine batting coach for Jaffna Kings recently.
Exactly. So you need a person of that stature and that mentality, because I think communication is very key, and how these boys understand is very critical for them to put on a show in the middle.
Understanding the modern game, especially because modern day ODI batting, especially white ball batting, is just different, isn't it? It's not like what in our days when we used to play. It was all about play along the ground, make sure your technique is correct. Now it's all about get that momentum, make sure your run rate is above runner ball and those kind of things. And is it a concern at a more grassroots level, Haroon? Because we know that batting has been our concern for the last, I don't know how many years now. We just struggle to bat in white ball cricket. We're always either behind the run rate, giving up too many wickets in the power play, and people say that, okay, Sri Lankan batsmen, they'll either hit you for a boundary or they'll dead bat you. There's nothing in between. Where is the problem? Is it the coaching issues locally, or like you said, it's just a mind thing?
So if I am to answer your first question, I don't think it's a grassroots level problem, because if we look at the modern day schoolboy batsman, completely different to how we batted back in the day.
Okay.
Now these guys are very aggressive, they use their feet, they play all these very fancy strokes, but it's the level between the international and school game where they really struggle.
Okay.
Because at that level, they aren't tested with quality bowling.
Right.
So because of the vast number of teams in the domestic structure, yes, you will have one or two bowlers in each team that will be brilliant. But what batsmen do is, they wait and wear them off and use the other bowlers to score runs. So with that runs being built in, yes, obviously confidence is oozing, but the moment you go and put them into an international game, you have 5 world-class bowlers bowling at you, and now you're caught in a soup.
True.
You have no clue how
and you
to
have
score.
Limited skill and
exactly, because you're not been exposed to challenging bowling.
True.
So that's been the biggest issue for Sri Lanka. So that's why I said, you need that expertise. Because of the existing structure, you need that local expertise to come in to help our batsmen. So with the plans that have been put in place, to really shrink down this whole number of teams,
and the whole National Super League now, successful tournament.
That will really help us build better batsmen. So I think this one-day tournament was a good example. You saw the likes of Dhananjay and how mature he looked when he played most of the innings. Monindu Fernando looked brilliant,
fine, super youngster. Yeah.
So likewise, I think tournaments of this nature, if it is consistently played year in year out, you will see our batting paradigm also shift, like how we've seen the bowling.
One of the concerns with our batting has always been that a lot of our batters are top order batters, and they generally do well over there. You have Kusal Mendis, who does well when he opens. Chandimal does well when he opens. You have Darshak Gunadilaka, who opens in the batting. Pathum Nissanka obviously has been in really good form, and we hope that he can cement that place in all formats. He's proved himself. It's that positions from that onwards, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's where we don't have a batter to really, come in and start looking for runs straight away. Yes, Charith Asalanka does that to a certain extent, but he's also been floated around at 3 and 4. Hasn't really fixed a spot for himself. But what he did in that last game, just came in and started whacking, absolute fearless batting, 20 of 9. That really changed the game for us. It set the momentum, kept the run rate in check. We need a couple of batters in that 3, 4, 5 position who are able to do that. Is this where we missed your classmate, Bhanuka Rajapaksa?
I would say to a large extent, yes, Samir, because Bhanuka is someone who can really take the game away from the opposition. Because
he might not do it every game,
exactly,
but at least in a few.
So obviously, when you look at a 2020 setup, your margin for error and the leverage that you have to take a game to the end is very challenging, because you only have 20 overs. So setting the tone early up front, especially in that power play, and the next 4 overs is very critical. And that knock that you mentioned about Charith Asalanka was just amazing. Even though it was 20 runs of 9 balls, it completely swung the game towards Sri Lanka. So likewise, you need to have 1 or 2 players, because they will not have huge averages. They might average 20-25, but the strike rate is what matters. We need someone who strikes the ball at 150 to 160 runs per 100 balls, who can give us that momentum shift when we need. Because then you can have the likes of Pathum Nissanka, to hold one end up and to play his natural game, where he goes on to bat all the entire 20 overs. So that kind of thinking should be there. There are a few other cricketers as well, like we saw in this National Super League, who can do that. So Bhanuka is the only renowned name currently in our setup. Dasun obviously takes a bit more time. He's good to kind of finish things off, bat little bit more at the little lower of the lineup. So yes, I would say we did miss him, but it's not to say that we can't groom someone to kind of do that role, looking at what Charith did in that last match.
So we really did miss Bhanuka Rajapaksa. Then he's not in the India squad as well. You didn't join the protest to get him onto the team outside Sri Lanka cricket?
I'm not a big fan of it, to be honest. These things, I think it actually harms the player to a great extent.
The expectations are much higher,
exactly,
isn't it? Yeah.
Because you're putting undue pressure. The moment you get into the side, you'll have a lot of people and eyes watching over you, and one failure is enough for you to really get your reputation and the name tarnished. So these are the risks involved in all these sagas happening. Not a very big fan. I was not also very impressed with the whole retirement thing. I was very quite open about it as well. But I just hope he gets through. I understand he has challenges in terms of this whole skin fold thing, which is we actually don't know whether it can be a health issue or not.
Yeah.
But on the other side, I would like to request the cricket board also to really revisit the suitability and how apt it is for the modern game. But we'll never know. I just hope he makes his way through these challenging times and get into the team.
I think this whole fitness and skillful thing is a completely different subject that needs to be discussed on a whole new episode, if at all. There's so much surrounding it, like what kind of criteria are you looking at? Is it just that, or how do you couple it with skills and athleticism? That's for another day anyway. Okay, so we go to India now after I wouldn't say successful, at least a tour full of positives. Very similar looking squad with a couple of additions. In fact, just one new addition. We got the injured players coming back. Nuwan Tushar, Ramesh Mendis are coming back. Ashane Daniel has been given an opportunity. Off spinner, bowls leg spinners to the right-handers, and very impressive thing about him is that he's got very good control with the new ball. Now, someone like Mahesh Tikshana also has improved leaps and bounds. We should have mentioned him actually. He's been really good for us in the power play, taking the new ball. But Ashane Daniel being given an opportunity, very well deserved.
Absolutely. I think it's a good call by the selectors to get him on board. A guy who's just finished his school cricket and who's got into the domestic and performed. And he's amongst the wickets. And I think it'll be a very good option even as a third spinner if they are to bring in, because like you said, he bowls well with the new ball. If Tikshana and Daniel can bowl in tandem, that would be a plus in those conditions. So impressed with the selection of Ashane being brought into the squad.
Very tough opposition coming up in India, but the advantage is, unlike Australia, conditions will be familiar. Subcontinent, our players, our batters prefer that ball coming, nicely straight onto the bat, not much bounce and movement here and there. You think there'll be a better performance from the batters?
I'm hoping and expecting a better performance for sure, Samir, because like you said, conditions very similar to what we get at home. Batting friendly, obviously we know how flat Indian tracks are. I think dew will come into place in most of the games, like we saw in India West Indies series. More often than not, there was dew in all the games that they played. So considering all these factors, batting should be relatively easy compared to what we had to face in Australia.
And we do have a couple of, I would say, good news to us, but obviously it's not always good to be happy when someone's injured. Suryakumar Yadav, who was in very good form against West Indies, he's got injured. That's what we're hearing most recently, so he'll be out of the tour. And also Virat Kohli has been rested, so that's something that Sri Lanka can look at as a positive. Obviously there are guys in India, there's so many talented cricketers waiting to grab the opportunity, so they'll be licking their lips to try and get among the runs against Sri Lanka. But it should be a good contest. Very tough opposition. Obviously we played world champions before, but India are nothing less. They are the world's #1 T20 side now. Tough one, but predictions, you think we can come away with a win?
Very tough. Right now, even playing a second string side in India is always challenging. My heart obviously wants Sri Lanka to win, but looking at it more practically, I would say 2-1 favoring at least a 2-1 favoring India.
I think we'll be happy if it's a 2-1. Yes, we look forward to it. Right then, lots of cricket coming up. Remember, we're building up towards that World Cup in Australia in October, but also there's a test series. I think 3 matches is what we're playing, with a day-night test as well. We'll try and build up to that after the series, T20 series is over. In the meantime, we hope that Sri Lanka does well in India and bring us some smiles, which we desperately need. Remember, tough times in the country, power cuts and whatnot. So hopefully Sri Lanka cricket is the one thing that can keep us sane and happy in these difficult times. It was a fun chat to Haroon. Thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot for hosting me, Samir.
That's Haroon. I'm Sam. This was Our Perspective.